भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Hare Krishna devotees. Today we'll see the verse in the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita as it is, verse number 36. The shloka goes like this. I'll just repeat this verse for 3 times. Papam evashrayedasman hatvethanatatainah tasmannara vayam hantum dartarashtran sabandhavan swajanam hi katam hatva sukinaha syama madhavam. Second time. Papamevashrayedasman hatvaitan atatahinah tasmannaraha vayam hantum dartarashtran sabandhavan swajanam hi katam hatva sukinaha syama madhavam. Third time. Papamevashrayedasman hatvaitan atatahinah tasmannaraha vayam hantum dartarashtran swabandhavam swajanam hi katam hatva sukinah syama madhavam. So we will see what are the synonyms for each word of the Sanskrit to English. First word, papam, vices. Evam, certainly. Ashrayet, must take upon. Asman, us. Hatvam, by killing. Etan, all these. Atatayinaham, aggressors. Tasmat, therefore. Nam, never. Arhaham, deserving. Vayam, us. Hantum, to kill. Dartarashtran, the sons of Dhritarashtra. Swabandhavan, along with friends. Swajanam, kinsmen. He, certainly. Katham, how? Hatva, by killing. Sukinaha, happy. Syama, become. Madhava, O Krishna, husband of the goddess of fortune. So these are the synonyms, and we'll see what is the translation of this verse. Sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain, O Krishna, husband of the goddess of fortune, and how could we be happy by killing our own kinsmen? So, this is a verse spoken by Arjuna just after seeing his relatives standing in front of him to fight with him. So by seeing all them, so he is telling this. Sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. So he is pointing out that sin is coming. It will be sin to commit such activity of killing our own relatives. Now he is using the words aggressors now here. Aggressor is referring to his enemies now. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. So he is actually telling that it is not proper for us to kill the sons. So he is making his own logical understanding that it is not proper to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain, O Krishna, husband of the goddess of fortune, and how could we be happy by killing our own kinsmen? Kinsmen is referring to his relatives. So Krishna, the goddess of fortune, husband of the goddess of fortune, Madhava, and how could we be happy by killing our own kinsmen? So this is a verse translation. So very nicely is using the word Mahadava, and also very logically is concluding his decisions, um, expressing his thought to Krishna. So let us see what are the points that we'll take from this translation. So translation points are: first one, sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. So he is making a decision according to this statement that sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. So if we kill such aggressors, then we will be committing sin. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. So now the second statement is connecting to the first statement that aggressor is Dhritarashtra's sons and his friends are also aggressor now. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra. So sons of Dhritarashtra are aggressors, but is telling it's not proper. So it looked a little contradictory. So let us see that how Krishna will answer for this in the future. Third point: what should we gain? So if we committing such sinful activities, then we'll getting only the sinful reactions then. So that's why we should be doing such activity. So what is the gain then? So the fourth point is, oh Krishna, husband of the goddess of fortune. So addressing Krishna as here goddess of fortune. So this is a very good actually way of addressing to Krishna, because he's having a intention of addressing Krishna is having a different idea, because he's thinking that goddess of fortune Lakshmi Devi is there means, so he's always actually Adrushta is there, so that fortune is there, but when he committing such sinful activities, then he may lose that fortune, no? For like that he's having a connection with that Madhava name. That's the fourth point. And fifth point is, how could we be happy by killing our own kinsmen? So kinsmen is telling now, the last statement is telling kinsmen, the first statement is telling about aggressor. So you can see that how his thoughts are actually making him himself confused, that should he attempt to kill them or it's sin. So like that he's actually having a conversation with Krishna. So now what the Bhavarta says, so we'll close the shloka, we'll close this translation also, and we'll go to the Bhavarta purport. Okay, so here purport, let us see that how many points that purport is having. So this purport contains, so totally 5 points are there. So let us see that who are called aggressors. According to Vedic injunctions, there are 6 kinds of aggressors. Who are they? There are 6 kinds of aggressors. Who are they? First one is a poison giver who gives poison. So that person is called an aggressor. So be very careful, you should hear this. So Vedic injunction says that, and for such aggressors, what is a step to be taken? That's also mentioned in this purport. Please carefully hear this. First one is a poison giver is called as aggressor. Second is one who sets fire to the house. One who sets fire to the house. Okay, which house? Our house. So he is putting a fire, sets fire to the house. Then he is also aggressor. Third point, one who attacks with the deadly weapons. So deadly weapons are using to kill them. So such is also considered as aggressor. And fourth one is one who plunders riches, who steals. So that person is also who cheats to plunder the rich persons. So then that person is also called as an aggressor. And one who occupies another's land, forcibly occupies the other's land. That person is also considered as aggressor. Sixth point, final point, it says that one who kidnaps a wife. So one who kidnaps other's wife. So then that person is also considered as aggressor. So you can see that there are 6 kinds of aggressor mentioned in the Vedic injunctions. Now let us see that. So if this aggressor found in your life, so what the next step has to be taken? Such aggressor are what wants to be killed. Such aggressor are ones to be killed. That is a statement in the Vedic injunctions. Who are the aggressor? Once again, I'll see that a poison giver, one who sets fire to the house, one who attacks with deadly weapons, one who plunders the riches, one who occupies another's land, one who kidnaps another's wife. So these are called as aggressors. So such aggressor has to be killed, and no son is incurred by killing such aggressors. This is a basic injunctions. But you see that Arjuna is just saying the opposite of this. Why you want to? Sin will overcome us. So you can see that Vedic injection actually is going in a contradictory way into the mind of Arjuna. So that is why you can see that he is in a confusion state. Such killing of aggressor is quite befitting for any ordinary man. So that if any ordinary person is there, materialistic person is there, he has to take such decisions of killing aggressors. Now you can see that what here statement goes. So we completed the first and second point in the purport Bhavarta, and we'll go to third point. Third point is, but Arjuna was not an ordinary person. So you can see that Arjuna, from this history, you can find out that he's not an ordinary person. He's having a very special character uh, in the Mahabharata. So here he says that character, he was saintly by character. So Arjuna, even though he was a Kshatriya, he was saintly by character, and therefore he wanted to deal with them in saintliness. Even though the aggressor doing some sinful activities, or his aggressor actually attacking him, but still he's having a sympathy towards them is there. So that is why he's telling uh, he want to deal with them in saintliness. So this kind of saintliness, however, is not for a Kshatriya. Now, Kshatriya has particular qualities. So, he's having some characteristic to perform. So, he has to exhibit that actions according to his quality. So, now he's telling that he's having saintliness. But such kind of saintliness is not allowed for the Kshatriya. Kshatriya has to take bold decisions. Now, what is a bold decisions? We'll see example how in the history it is there like that. Although a responsible man in the administration of a state is required to be a saintly, he should not be cowardly. Means you can see that he should act as a administrator, means he should act. Make Kshatriya means administrator rule has to be done. So he, when he is doing such activities, he required to be saintly, but he should not be cowardly. So he should not act like a coward. So he should be a very um, like boldly should act. How administrator should be done, such way, such a level he should act. Okay, and now we'll see what is the example for this. Now, Kshatriya, he should not act as a cowardly, he can be saintly. So that is we came to this point. Now we'll have examples particular to this point concern. Here it says that example is Lord Rama was so saintly that people were anxious to leave his kingdom, live in his kingdom, as thinking that is a Rama Rajya. People wanted such Rama Rajya. No, you can see that why people needed such Ram Rajya, because Lord Rama never showed any cowardice. He was not a coward king. He was a saintly person also. As a matter of considering as a great person, he was considered as a great person, and he exhibited such a good qualities of human being, even though he is a lord. Ravana was an aggressor against Rama because he kidnapped Rama's wife. So we can see that aggressor definition holds true here when Ravana kidnaps this Rama's wife Sita. No, but Lord Rama gave him sufficient lessons unparalleled in the history of the world. So you can see that in the history how Rama gave a punishment to Ravana. So this is the punishment is accepted in the history. So in the Vedic literature also it mentions similar thing. So now we'll go to the next point of this third point, saying that Arjuna was not an ordinary person, but what kind of person he is? He is a saintly person. In Arjuna's case, however, one should consider the special type of aggressors. So Arjuna was thinking that they may be aggressors, but there are some special types are also there. means you can see that particularly you can see that is facing Bhishma grandfather. He's facing a grandfather in front of him. You can imagine that how affection he could have received from his grandfather, uh, and is having a spiritual master in front of him, and you can see that how he should fight with him. So like that you can see that there is a special type of aggressors are there, and namely his own grandfather, his own teacher, friends, sons, grandsons are all existing in front of him, and he has to consider the second opinion that he should fight. Is they are really aggressors, or it is sin that, so that is why he is having a second opinion. And next is because of them, Arjuna thought that he should not take the severe steps necessary against ordinary aggressors. So because these people are there, grandfather, teacher, friends, and all those things are there, so he is also thinking that can we take some action against them or not? So that is a mentality of Arjuna there. Besides that, saintly person are advised to forgive. Now, one of the quality of saintly person means he will forgive, even though they are aggressive, even though they are offensive. The devotee or saintly person will actually they'll forgive. Let it be like that. So like that they'll forgive the offenses also. Such injunctions for saintly persons are more important than any political emergency. So even though the kshatriya politically he has to deal, but such injunctions for saintly person are more important, so he has to consider that. So should we act against the aggressor, even though we consider that special types are there or not, we should take back that. So like that he is having a different opinion of uh, taking the decisions in the battlefield. So now we'll see that next point. Arjuna considered that rather than killing his own kinsmen for political reasons, it would be better to forgive them on grounds of religion and saintly behavior. So he's thinking that instead of killing them, killing our own kinsmen, because he has to deal as a kshatriya, so let let it be like that, or it would be better to uh, better to forgive them on grounds of religion and saintly behavior. So he's thinking that his saintly behavior is actually going high, is having a more value for the saintly behavior. For that sake, so he's telling that um, is considering that Arjuna is considering that rather than killing, it's better to forgive them. And he did not therefore consider such killing profitable. So he's thinking that how what the profit, what we gain. That's what the statement in this translation. What we gain, like that he said, no. So what profit he's getting? So he's calculating and he's telling that such killing is profitable. He did not therefore consider such killing is profitable. He doesn't consider it a profit. Simply for the matter of temporary bodily happiness. So that happiness what we get by killing them, showing them, so that is only temporary. So he's having a such understanding that profit is nothing by killing. After all, kingdom and pleasures derived therefore therefrom are not permanent. So whatever the kingdom, pleasures, whatever it comes, does not come for long time. According to karma, what we have, that much time will be coming. So that is a understanding of Arjuna. So why should we risk his life and eternal salvation by killing his own kinsmen? So saintly person is there is a he has to think for eternal salvation. The highest goal of life is we have to get liberated from this material world. That's the highest goal of a saintly person, a devotee. So instead of that one, why we have to be entangled into the material world of killing our own kinsmen? Again, they're killing in the next janma. So these are the entanglement. So he's calculating all those things and he's making the statement here. So whenever this such confusion comes, now best person to um, deal is the Lord Krishna only. because he has cleared such doubts, not only Arjuna's, of innumerable people by simply instructing this Bhagavad Gita. So, the next final statement in this Bhavarta purport is telling that Arjuna's addressing of Krishna as Madhava, or the husband of goddess of fortune, is most significant here. Now, what is significant here? He wanted to point out Krishna that as husband of goddess of fortune, he is a wife, his wife is Lakshmi Devi. So Lakshmi Devi, as husband of goddess of fortune, his husband of Lakshmi Devi, he should not have to induce Arjuna to take up a matter which would ultimately bring about misfortune. So he's having a good fortune, and he's taking decisions of not fighting because he's not committing sin. But if you commit sinful, what will happen? Sinful reaction will come, then will be misfortune. So you are the uh, husband of a fortune, goddess of fortune, and you are making me to go to something level where I will do commit activities of making misfortune. So is it true, is it right, Krishna? So this is a way of asking through addressing Krishna as Madhava here. So that's why this word Madhava is also very significant here. Krishna, however, never brings misfortune to anyone, to say nothing of his devotees. So this is a final statement saying that Krishna will never bring misfortune to anyone. He is not meant for doing such things. He is having so much big activities, bigger than such activities of bringing misfortune to anyone. What is that? He want to, like, he's a father of everyone. He knows that he is a husband of goddess of fortune. He knows that what best can be given to a living entity, and especially for the devotee, to say nothing of his devotees, what is required, he'll supply. So there is a kindness of Krishna's heart. So like this, very good explanation is given in this purport of the chapter, mm, of one text 36. So thank you very much for hearing. I request you that please comment, uh, and I'll be asking questions in the comments. You can answer by hearing this lecture, so that we'll have a thorough understanding of this shloka. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.